Hey guys, so in this video, we're gonna look at the NGINX Manager in cPanel, how to use it, and what's the benefit of it. So the first thing is to, of course, log into your WHM, and let's try to search NGINX. So it should show here. And by the way, in the past, it's already built in, but some of it, I'm not really sure though if it still needs you to install it. But in this demo server that I'm working on, this is already installed, so built in. And in case you're not seeing this kind of dashboard which we are looking at on the screen, then you should be able to see a welcome message here, a welcome banner to install NGINX. It should be a one-click install, and it should then, when you refresh, or it should redirect you to this kind of dashboard here. Maybe it's not yet enabled, so you just wanna just follow on enabling it, and then it should also enable, or I'm not sure if you already have existing users, maybe you still need to enable it. So this is by default. So when you installed, I believe, okay, so it's already enabled when you install it, and this is only for inheriting the new user. So for example, if you already have an existing users and it's not yet enabled, when you enable it, when you have a new user, it will be enabled for them by default. So if there are users that are not enabled here, you need to enable it by here. So NGINX Manager is actually just simple. It doesn't have a lot of options, so let's check it out one by one. So as you can see, as mentioned earlier, this is the inherit option, or inherit what do you call the settings, and this is for the clear cache for all users. Yes, if you want to clear cache to restart, if in case you are getting an error for all your sites, you can restart NGINX instead and rebuild configuration. I use this when I see 403 something error on my sites, but mostly if I only have an issue with one site, then I'll just clear cache here, and if it doesn't work, then I disable it and then clear cache, and then check if my site is working, and when it's working, I then enable it again, and then check my site again if it's working. But if it's not working, then what I do is I just restart NGINX here, this button here, and then rebuild, and that's it. So if it's still not working for you, then I suggest you uninstall and then reinstall NGINX Reverse Proxy instead. They do have a documentation here, but that should be the basic thing. That should be as simple as that to really manage your website through NGINX Manager. So I'm not really an expert in regards to stuff like caching or the web servers, because I'm only a webmaster. I only manage servers, through cPanel and a few basic settings and setups based on my experience as a web host reseller in the past. So this is a new feature, by the way. I believe it's not really new. It's already been rolled out a long time ago, but you can only do this by installing it manually. So it's through SSH. So this is, I believe, their documentation for that. And just last year, I believe, I'm not really sure, let me check. Okay, yeah, as you can see, October 12, or you can also check on the YouTube channel of let me see here. I think I've watched it. I've joined the webinar in regards to NGINX Manager when they rolled it out. They do have here so if you check on cPanel.net NGINX, I highly suggest you check out this video so that you can have a better understanding in regards to how you can the what do you call this, the benefit of using NGINX Reverse Proxy in your server. So here, this is the one, and this is the person behind the NGINX feature in cPanel. So in this video, they have they actually let me show you instead here. They have discussed what NGINX can do to your sites, which is very nice. So let's probably watch it together so that let me see here. So before we watch this one, let me check if I still have something that I needed to show you here. So I believe that's it. So yeah, that's basically it. So this NGINX Manager, based on the name itself, it's just a graphical interface which makes you manage NGINX Reverse Proxy easier than doing it via SSH, especially for those who don't know or it's not familiar with managing through the terminal. And the reason why we are using cPanel, right? Because it makes it makes it easier for us as webmasters. Or oops, sorry. What's this? Oops. So yeah, it makes it easier for us to manage our servers and security and whatsoever with cPanel, which is why I highly recommend you to that's why I use this myself, and I also highly recommend this to use by other webmasters like me, especially when it comes to managing a lot of websites, in regards to having a business, in regards to what do you call this, website flipping or blogging, business publishing, online content publishing. Yeah, because if you're so we're probably not this is probably not related to the NGINX, but the point of using cPanel is that eventually you will realize that it is cheaper than what do you call this, is cheaper than you're buying managed host from, let's say, Vulture, Cloudways, because by when you get virtual server from those providers, I'm not sure how much is the price there, but I believe it will it is more 5 to 10x than you are what do you call this? You're paying for your server from Contabo, which is what I recommend, and then getting a license from cPanel, which is really cheap, along with a Contabo server. So um, that's really the reason why. And then you can manage it by your own. You can there's a lot of features that you can really um, manage it on your own without asking for support, without really, it's just amazing to have the what do you call it? It's amazing when you're in control with your business. And yeah, especially when you're starting out and you want to build a lot of sites, then this is the best way to manage your sites, which is using cPanel and Contabo server, or maybe what else? I believe there's another provider that is cheap, or maybe a little bit higher than Contabo. But the point is, Contabo makes it easier for you to really, they provide, I mean, they are partnered with cPanel, so, and they have a cheaper price than many other official providers. So, once again, let's check out this live so that I can share with you what's the benefit of using the NGINX Reverse Proxy in cPanel. So let's probably play this.
And welcome to another cPanel Live. I'm your host, Jason Nickerson, and in today's broadcast, we'll be talking about NGINX caching with cPanel product owner Adam Wien. Today, we're broadcasting live on cPanel Live, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We'll be taking your questions after the presentation, so please start getting your questions ready to share in the chat. So now let's hand it over to Adam and find out more about web server caching and NGINX.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those that don't know me, my name is Adam Wien. I'm a product owner at cPanel, currently assigned to Easy Apache. I've been with the Easy Apache team for 4 years and with cPanel for 17. Our most recent feature was to add a caching layer for use with Easy Apache. To do this, we used NGINX. For those that aren't familiar with NGINX, it's a web server that also has the ability to act as a reverse proxy for use with other web servers to speed up their ability to serve content. What does this mean for you? For you, it means lower system resources being used to serve websites, and for your customers, faster loading times for those websites. In previous CP Live talks, I've spoken about NGINX standalone.
I believe the standalone that he is saying is that that's the experimental project or stage or version of their NGINX, while the current one, which is the NGINX Reverse Proxy version, this is the one that is stable right now, and it's installed also with a graphical interface, that what this tutorial is all about, that we are managing, and that I've shown you earlier. That's the current one.
In standalone mode, NGINX will serve websites directly to the end user. In this talk, I'll be speaking only about reverse proxy mode. In this mode, NGINX relies heavily on another web server to generate the content that it then serves to the end user. In our case, that web server is Apache. First, I'd like to go over the experience for those customers on version 94 of our software. That's the version currently in our release tier. In this version, you'll use Easy Apache to install NGINX, and it will set up caching for all users on the system. We've provided some command line features so that you can still receive all the benefits of caching, but without the same user experience as in our upcoming version 96. So before I start, let me apologize. I am using a mechanical keyboard. Yes, I'm that guy. So first thing you want to do is log into WHM. Those customers on version 96 will be presented with this feature showcase option to set up NGINX with reverse proxy caching. We're just going to exit to WHM.
So, as you can see, when that server commonly is showing that feature when you just install cPanel. So before in this live streaming last year, I believe it's March 19, 2021, they still made it optional for the administrators. Let's say when you install cPanel for the first time, it's a bit. So when you install cPanel for the first time, or not for the first time, for a certain server, when you install it, cPanel will ask you if you want to enable the NGINX feature, but now it is already installed by default, which I've experienced with a few demos that we've launched for this series of videos for this course. So just in case you're not familiar, you're not going to get an option to enable it because it is already enabled right away in the present release and maybe beyond. And for this video as well, for this live training from cPanel, he exited, or he did not install it because he wants to show us how to install it via SSH, I believe, or via terminal, which is based on the documentation that I showed below in the description. There is a method to install it via terminal, and instead of managing it through the WHM interface, which is the easiest way when you manage it via WHM. But just in case you want to manage it through SSH, there's that is the original version that they've, which is, I mean, not the original though, it's the current version, because they have this original that they are, I mean, experimental, they called it experimental one. Excuse me. And that is called NGINX standalone, while the current one is the NGINX Reverse Proxy. So yeah, let's continue.
While I am on version 96, the steps I'm about to show will work for any supported version of cPanel, mainly version 94. So the first thing we'll want to do is we'll want to navigate over to Easy Apache. We're going to customize our currently provisioned profile. We're going to come down to Additional Packages. See here, NGINX. We're going to choose NGINX. Click Next. And then Provision.
So these are the prerequisites.
So if you've been to my previous talks about standalone, you know what's happening here.
And by the way, guys, if you installed, like right now, cPanel, there is already what do you call this, a profile in Easy Apache. By the way, I have not shown you that earlier, but before you enable, or I believe it's already enabled though, I'm not really sure, but maybe if you're, just in case your NGINX is not yet, you're still installing it, or maybe you're still trying to enable it, before you do that, you need to go to Easy Apache 4, and then find existing profile there that is showing what do you call this, the cPanel NGINX. So just provision that, and once you do, I believe that will automatically enable. I'm not sure though. Try to check on that for me. But that will be a one-click setup for you in regards to Easy Apache settings, instead of you enabling this what he is showing right here. So that's just a quick tip for lazy people like me. Okay.
Right now, we're moving Apache to a non-default port, 81 and 444 in my case, and we're standing up NGINX in its place. So now that the provision process is complete, NGINX is stood up and caching is enabled for all users on this system. So like I said, we provide some command line utilities for using NGINX on version 94. Let me show you those now. For this, we're going to come over to our terminal application. We're going to call /scripts ea-nginx. So if you've used NGINX previously, or our implementation of it, this should look very familiar to you. But there is a couple new commands. We have cache and we have clear cache. What cache does, it allows you to interact with the overall system when it comes to caching, and also the individual user when it comes to caching. So we'll call it real quick with the system flag. And this is the global settings for NGINX. You can modify these, not on the command line, but there's a JSON file you can modify to change these settings.
It's not actually showing what he's typing here, but it should show later on when it's
somewhere in here,
when he enters the keyboard.
Okay, so there is cache.json. So you can modify things like enable or disable caching globally. You can change the cache times. You can turn on X headers, things like that. But we've automated a couple of steps for you. So let's say you want to disable caching system-wide. You can do that via the command line utility.
Am I the only one Can't see
with the
what
global
he's typing.
system flag enabled equals 0. So now when we call that cache command again, you can see that NGINX caching is now disabled. So let's enable that. So you can also interact on a per user basis with this. So I think I have one user set up on this system. And we can disable caching this way for a specific user. So now for that, globally, NGINX caching is enabled, but for that user, it's disabled. So one of the things we added to version 94 is a little breadcrumb for the end user so they can actually see if NGINX caching is enabled or disabled on their user. So let me show you what that looks like. We're going to come over to List Accounts. We're going to masquerade as a cPanel user. And over here on the right under General Information, you'll see NGINX caching is inactive. So we're going to come back to our terminal and we're going to enable it for that user. Same command, just enabled equals 1. Back over to cPanel, we'll reload this page. And as you can see, NGINX caching is now active. Right there. So that's how you turn caching on and off. Let's say a user has contacted you and they're having an issue and you think they have a stale cache or a bad cache for their account. We've given you tools so you can actually clear their cache. You can use the all flag. The all flag is going to clear cache for every user on the system. Or you can provide the username. Let's see, what was that username again? And now just that user's cache is cleared.
So remember all the steps that you showed us from Easy Apache 4 up to this point, and now he will be showing us the easy method that I've shown you earlier.
So that's what it looks like on version 94. For 96, we've actually introduced a UI to help customers perform these tasks. So we're going to reset our system back to the way it was before we started. We're again going to customize our installed profile. Come down to Additional Packages. Uncheck NGINX. And again, provision. So now we're removing NGINX from the system. Just like before, we're uninstalling NGINX and putting Apache in its place. So now that that's complete, our system is restored to what it was before we even got started. So in version 96, we've introduced a UI for our customers to perform these tasks. It's called the NGINX Manager. So when you click on NGINX Manager, it presents you with this splash screen, and it lets you know what's going to happen when you install NGINX. So we're going to click Install. This should look familiar. It's just like Easy Apache 4. But we put it in one convenient place, so everything NGINX related will be in this interface. And that's it. NGINX is set up in reverse proxy with caching for all users on the system. So now we're going to proceed to the NGINX Manager. So you should be able to perform everything I demonstrated on command line through this easy-to-use UI. We can clear cache for all users. We can restart NGINX. We can rebuild its configuration or reset users to the system default. So to jump ahead a little bit, when you come over to the Users tab, you can enable and disable caching on a per user basis. If you have not made a modification to enable or disable cache for this user, you can then reset users to use the system default. So now all users will be reset to enabled or disabled. But back to that user settings tab. So here again, we can enable or disable caching on a per user basis, and we can also clear cache for each individual user. I only have one user on the system, but here would be listed all of your accounts if you had more than one. We also give you the opportunity to uninstall NGINX. So say NGINX has introduced some kind of incompatibility with your system, you can uninstall it from here too. So these are the tools we've provided to work with NGINX. So what are some of the benefits? So a customer turned me on to a piece of software called Siege. Siege does exactly what it sounds like. It puts your server under siege. It's a benchmarking / regression testing software. So if you've made changes, you can rerun Siege and see if it's improved your site's performance or caused a detriment to performance. So I have about 150 WordPress sites set up on this server. So let me choose one. Okay. So we're going to put this WordPress site under siege. First, I want to ensure that NGINX caching is disabled so you can see what kind of performance we're getting out of the box. So we'll just come over here, go to our user settings, and disable caching. And now we'll run our test. So what this is it's 50 concurrent users. So this is 50 users accessing your one site. And we're going to run our test for 10 seconds. 10 seconds should be enough to show the difference. So as you can see, with NGINX caching disabled, we were able to do 1,759 hits and 188 transactions per second with caching disabled. This is default cPanel out of the box. So let's enable caching and see if we see an improvement. Come back to our Users tab and then enable. Come back here and we'll rerun our test. So as you can see, we've seen quite an improvement. That looks like, what? Over 3 times the hits, and it looks like we've over tripled our transactions per second. And the cool thing about caching, the more you run this and the more things you have in your cache, the faster this will get. So that's great. That's what it looks like for a single site. What does it look like for a busy server? One of the cool things about Siege is you can actually provide it with a URL list and give it, 50, 100, 1,000 websites on the single server to test with. So let's try that. Again, we're going to go back to our baseline where we disable caching. And now rather than a single URL, we're going to give it a URL list. This is 50 randomly generated WordPress sites, as you can see. So we're going to run seeds this way. Again, 10 seconds is usually enough to give us a good barometer on how our performance is. Okay, we were able to do 1,400 hits and about 155 transactions per second. Let's see what that looks like with caching enabled. Enable caching and rerun our test. So as you can see, our results are pretty similar. We were able to triple our transactions, and we were able to triple our transaction rate. And this is at scale. This is 50 websites being hit by 50 users for 10 seconds. As you can see, the numbers really speak for themselves. While website caching isn't new, a cPanel supported caching layer built into Easy Apache is. If you have any questions, please stick around for the question and answer portion of today's cPanel Live or email me directly, adam@cpanel.net.
So as you can see, guys, that's very impressive, right? So if you want to, by the way, continue on the Q&A session, or what do you call this? Yeah, for the live stream of this video, I suggest you check out the link for that video in the description below, and let me know if you already have installed NGINX, or if you have an issue with it. Is it great, or have you tried it and had a good experience with it, or are you having a good experience with it? Let me know in the comments. And also try to ask your questions in the video of the live stream video from cPanel, or else if you want me to answer your questions, I suggest you go to my community forums at community.mawix.com. And yeah, see you in the next one.